Hey everyone, it's Miranda. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hey, for the first time, why don't you subscribe and become the newest member of the Slashed Squad. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit more about something I said in a previous video in my newest drugstore foundation routine video. Today I'm going to be talking about why I stopped using face primer. So I mentioned this super quickly in that drugstore foundation routine video, but yes, it has been about 2 months now that I really haven't been wearing face primer on the daily. It kind of happened gradually and accidentally. I originally just wasn't applying a lot of face primer when I was doing looks because I knew I wasn't going to be wearing them for very long. You know, I'd be wearing them for maybe a few hours at most to get a video done or to shoot some Instagram photos. So I wanted to cut down on prep time and product use basically. And then I just started skipping primer out of habit because I had been skipping it so much when I was doing my makeup, and I would just go straight from moisturizing to doing my foundation, of course letting my moisturizer dry down. And of course on the days where I didn't mean to skip primer, I would be a little bit paranoid about my makeup and I'd be kind of checking up on it during the day, and I was surprised to find that my foundations were hanging in there just as well as if I were wearing primer. Now something to note is that a lot of the foundations that I gravitate towards are pretty full coverage, medium to full, and have formulas that claim to last a long time on their own. In fact, most of them claim up to 24-hour wear. And that just got me thinking, like, do I really need to be wearing a primer with a foundation that already claims to last up to 24 hours? Like, it doesn't say up to 24 hours with primer, it just says up to 24 hours. On top of that, I just kind of started pulling out the foundations in my collection and really looking at the different claims they were making. And a lot of their formulas claim to have technology. I love how all makeup has like technology nowadays, but they all had these features that you would expect from a primer, such as, you know, skin blurring or imperfection hiding or even shine combating. So honestly, I think that as foundations kind of get better at the drugstore and even on the high-end scale, and they start to include these ingredients that are doing for your skin what primer used to, I kind of feel like primer might be falling to the wayside. I think it's mostly about finding a foundation that works well with your skin type. If it's a match, then it will perform how it's supposed to. I, for one, have combo skin where I do actually get dry patches like around my eyes and around my cheek and neck area, but then I get super oily in, of course, my T-zone, so the forehead and the nose area, as well as my chin. And of course, most of you know that I also get acne, so most of the foundations that work really well for me are medium to full coverage, and they have a demi-matte to soft matte finish so that they're not drying down completely to a flat finish, but they are also not dewy enough to make me look like a grease ball. So a couple weeks ago, I did share my newest go-to drugstore foundation routine. I will leave that link in a card and down below, but I wanted to share with you like a full day test so you can see what my foundation looks like throughout the day when I skip primer. So I filmed that yesterday. Let's check it out. All right, so it is currently about 9 a.m. and right now I'm gonna do my foundation with no primer underneath and show you how it wears throughout the day. Now the only thing that is on my skin prior to foundation is my normal daily moisturizer. This is the Garnier Skin Active Moisture Bomb. It is SPF 30. I always try to use moisturizers with SPF for the daytime. Now with this foundation without primer test, I'm gonna be using the Maybelline Superstay Full Coverage Foundation. Now I know that I just talked about the Catrice foundation in my new drugstore foundation video as being my go-to. However, I came back from Jamaica, and even though I have 4 different shades of that Catrice foundation, none of them match me. This is the only foundation that matches me right now. So this is what I'm gonna use. Tan person problems. But this is a pretty great full coverage foundation. It is a little bit less of a powder finish than that Catrice foundation, but definitely check out that video because I share my normal drugstore foundation routine that I had been using up until I got tan. So literally just putting this straight onto my moisturized skin with my Real Techniques Miracle Sponge. But yeah, if you watched my other drugstore foundation video and you thought that maybe that foundation was a little bit on the dry side, this is a great alternative because it is not super matte. It's definitely in that demi range. I'm not gonna do a ton more makeup than this today just because I have nowhere to be, so I don't wanna be wearing a full face, but I am going to just add some brows, so this is a little less scary to look at. Just a little bit of a gel. All right, just some soft, subtle brows today. Now, since this is going to be a day wear test, I do wanna set my makeup as if I were gonna be out and about all day and I want my makeup to stay in place and look fresh. And this is the same setting spray that I did talk about in the last drugstore foundation video that I did. This is the CoverGirl Look Lock Up Spray. One of my favorites at the drugstore right now because it feels super weightless. Once it dries down, you don't feel any kind of barrier. So I'm just gonna spray evenly around the face. And that's gonna be it for my face. So I'm gonna check in with you a little later today, show you how the foundation wears throughout the next few hours, and then we will do a final wrap up after about 8 hours. See you in the next update. All right, it is 1:16 in the afternoon, and here is what my foundation looks like with natural lighting. Coverage still completely there. I don't feel oily at all. I still have like the demi matte kind of natural look that the foundation gave me in the first place. And I just want to point out like up close that I'm not even seeing any separation or breakdown of the foundation, even in my nose area, which is arguably like my most oily area, just like right here. Usually I would really pack the primer on there to make sure that it stuck and to make sure that my pores weren't coming through, but without primer, things are going okay. So here is where we are at. I will check in with you one more time before I head to the gym later tonight. All right, hey everyone, it is currently about 5 o'clock, a little bit after, so it's been almost 8 hours since putting on this foundation without any primer. I've actually been accidentally touching my face a lot today because I kept forgetting that I was wearing makeup, and still, my foundation looks pretty great. I really only see a little bit of discoloration coming through around the cheek area here, but as far as the coverage, it's still almost completely intact, especially in my T-zone. I don't think that I'm any more shiny than I would be with my go-to primer. So am I going to be cutting primer out of my makeup routine for good? Right now for my daily makeup routine, I'm probably going to stick to skipping primer. I just feel like I've been discovering the fact that most of the foundations that I'm using don't really need it to perform really well. However, I do know that some primers work really well to offer unique effects like redness reducing or just really giving you an airbrushed look that's great for photos. So I feel like in these specific instances, just, you know, for special occasions, I will be reaching for some type of primer. For example, when my skin is looking really red or I have a lot of breakouts, this is a primer that I feel like has helped me. It's the CoverGirl True Blend Color Neutralizing Primer. It's a pale green color which does help neutralize the redness under foundation. So that's just one instance where I might occasionally reach for primer, but other than that, if my skin is acting pretty normal, I'll probably skip it. With that said, I definitely still swear by eyelid primer. I will not be giving that up because I have very sensitive and oily eyelids, and I 100% do see a difference when I wear it versus not. So I'm really curious to hear your thoughts down below. Have you ever tried skipping your primer, and have you seen a big difference when you wear it versus not wearing it? If you tend to like the foundations that I gravitate to, I do encourage you to kind of try this experiment, skip the primer, and see what the foundation looks like for you at the end of the day. And maybe you'll be surprised at the fact that you don't need the primer that you swore by before. All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the thumbs up button. It really does help me out with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe. It's free, and what's one more face on your subscribe page, especially when it's this one? And don't forget to hit the bell icon, turn on video notifications. If you don't, then YouTube decides what you're watching, not you. Hope to see you in my next one. Bye!